96 years ago, the people of the United States would enter the most trying period in their history. In almost 150 years, Americans had won their freedom and had emerged victorious from the Great War. But their greatest test was ahead, and it would take all their ingenuity and resolve to survive 13 years of sobriety due to prohibition. Hello beer nerds, this is Beer by the Numbers, and today we're going to examine 10 interesting facts you may not have known about prohibition. Grab a beer for solidarity and let's get started. First things first, it was never illegal to drink alcohol during prohibition. Much like the United States ban on online gambling, it wasn't illegal to actually consume alcohol, it was just illegal to brew, sell, or ship it for consumption. In fact, doctors could still prescribe alcohol for medicinal purposes. Patients could legally buy liquor from the pharmacy or physicians. Which reminds me, Doc, I have this bad reoccurring headache I need you to help me with. The Women's Christian Temperance Union was one of the major political groups behind the 18th Amendment. They taught as scientific fact that a majority of beer drinkers die of edema, the swelling of organs or the body. Obviously, now that beer is America's favorite alcoholic beverage, we aren't seeing an edema epidemic, so perhaps some of their arguments weren't as factual as they claimed. But some of these signs were taken very seriously. As saloons were put out of business by prohibition, hundreds of thousands of speakeasies began to spring up all across the country. New York City alone had an estimated 30,000 speakeasies, keeping the flappers and businessmen inebriated. Speakeasies, of course, got their name because you had to whisper a code word or name of someone you knew through a locked door in order to be let in.
Warte. The passport! Danke. Abend, Detlef.
Lesser known than speakeasies were blind pigs. Blind pigs were dive bars that disguised themselves as attractions, where a customer would pay to see a weird animal or sideshow, and then receive a complimentary drink. Blind pigs survived beyond prohibition as less than reputable houses of after-hours drinks and gambling until the feds began cracking down on them in the late 1960s. One of the unintended consequences of prohibition was the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. The KKK, which is known for taking very hardline conservative stances on questionable moral issues, found new relevance in the 20s by taking a hardline moral stance against alcohol. The KKK acted as a militant wing for the temperance movement, often harassing speakeasies and running bootleggers out of town. They even went so far as to tar and feather some bootleggers in the South. Talk about a dangerous job. But bootlegging, although dangerous, was a profitable business and allowed organized crime to gain a large amount of power and influence very rapidly. It's said that Al Capone made $60 million in alcohol sales in 1927 alone, which is the equivalent of $817 million today. Cocktails gained in popularity during Prohibition in order to hide the poor quality alcohol that managed to make its way into your local speakeasy. It makes sense that when you cut off a country's supply of quality beer, they'll do anything to try to substitute, even come up with crazy cocktails like the Mary Pickford, the French 75, or the Barbary Coast. During Prohibition, those religious fundamentalists in favor of the alcohol ban attempted to have all references to alcohol removed from the Bible. This was easier said than done, as there are hundreds of verses in the Bible dealing directly with alcohol. And the whole water to wine thing. The origin of booze cruises, or cruises to nowhere, was an industry born in Prohibition. ships would sail to international waters where the alcohol ban did not apply, and then the beer would begin a-flowin'. Ships usually sailed around in circles, presumably because the skipper had knocked back a couple too many. Finally, Prohibition ended with the ratification of the 21st Amendment, my personal favorite amendment, on December 5th, 1933. The first legal bottle of beer was produced by Washington's Abner Drury Brewing Company and was delivered to President Roosevelt. With December 5th right around the corner, remember to celebrate Repeal Day with your fellow beer lovers. If you made it this far into the video, let me know in the comments section below by answering this question. If a 13-year alcohol ban was instituted today, how would you survive? Would you bootleg? Would you homebrew? Or would you be able to last all 13 years sober? Let me know what you'd do in the comments section below. And if you want to be alerted each time we tap a fresh episode of Beer by the Numbers, hit that subscribe button. Also, follow me on Untapped. Seriously, I only have like 2 friends and I'm really trying to get into it more. Stay curious, beer nerds, and as President Roosevelt said after repealing that 18th Amendment, what America needs now is a good drink.